Hey, howdy, welcome. So I just finished episode 2 of Gundam Requiem Preventions, Broken. Solid. Better than the first, by far. I think I'm going to throw spoilers out the window here, because if you're already looking at episode 2, you've already know what happens to episode 1. You're looking for people's opinions on episode 2. You're looking for an episode 2 review. So I'm not really going to pussyfoot around it. I'm just going to jump right into spoilers. Great shit. Great episode. Better than 1. I already said that. I'm repeating myself. So the first half of the episode is really... I feel like it's well paced because it felt like it was a lot longer than it actually was, but in a good way. It kept the tension up because these characters never got out of the situation for a lot longer than I felt like was comfortable. After the Gundam has wrecked the entire Red Wolf squad, Solari is the only one seemingly left. She's sitting there looking straight up at it, being fucking terrifying, until a couple shots from some friendly troops draw the Gundam away. Because, this Rex Zaku on the ground is no longer a threat to it. It's moving on. Solari finds one survivor to her squad in Lashan. The other two are absolutely certainly dead. No question about it. Kind of surprising Lashan survived being cut in half, but I guess his cockpit block's a little bit higher, so that's A-okay. We pick up a friendly new medic who seems to be a little conflicted about, the war in general, but it's 8 months in. Why are you here if you're like this? That's fine. I think it's the direction of framing that really brings it well in this episode, especially the first half. While these three characters are trying their best to move, to survive, to stay under the radar, the whole time, framed above them in the distance, is the Gundam EX just tearing through whatever resistance is left. What I assume is Salamander Squad Zaku is still trying to confront it. Their machine gun's unable to get through its thick shield. Shout out to that one guy that held it off with the Heat Hawk for like 5 goddamn minutes. Great for him. A couple DOPs from Wasp team come in to try to lay down fire on it. Again, amazed how tough the armor is. I think the Gundam EX rotary cannon on the shoulder is my new favorite weapon in UC. It sounds so good. It looks so cool. It's so goddamn effective. I love the way it shredded through the Solari Zaku head. I love the way it traced the DOPs when it finally got a beat on him after they thought they aced it. It's great. And it's just this great set piece going on in the background as these characters are trying to find a way out. Which they do successfully with some help from a pair of abandoned Zaku tanks. Trying to lead it into the fuel tank and explode it was a great idea. I'm not sure how effective that kind of explosion would be against any mobile suit, but they seem to be super surprised that it's not dead, so they're expecting something else. Just there's this atmosphere of dread that at any moment it could notice them and just start lighting them up. And they have to cause a distraction and get out of here. Thankfully, even after it's blown up, there's enough distraction that even the Rex Zaku tank can just back straight up and get out of there. And our new extended cast of characters escapes off into the night to a nearby local town. And there's a real shift in the tone of the episode at that point. As soon as I saw the cows, I put a little bit of a smile, because the cows actually look pretty good. I like the cows. The cows are neat. I'm okay with having more CGI cows if they look that good. I feel bad about their pasture being torn up by the tank. But what are you going to do? The dude's driving in reverse. He's doing a bang-up job regardless. Maybe it's because we're now in the daylight, but there seems to be a little more levity to everything. It's a little calmer, a little more hopeful. And you get to learn a little more about Solari's background. Lashan talks about how she used to be a violinist. She used to be an artist before the war broke out and she was called up. It really shows all walks of life showing up to both sides of this conflict, not just professional soldiers. We had the evacuation team moving through this small town and come across that Federation roadblock, which seems like a pretty shitty plan to just charge it, but that dude in the IFV was all for it. He didn't even hesitate when he heard engage at will. He just gunned it. I mean, he got lit up by the tank immediately, but it seemed like a pretty poorly conceived plan. I understand the medic skepticism, I'm kind of with him, thinking that's a stupid idea, especially all the wounded in the back. Honestly, that point surrender might not have been the worst idea. But it's okay, because they're saved by the abrupt entry of Zaku Tank-kun, who is the bestest, greatest Zaku Tank, who manages to just demolish a couple 61s with its fat-ass body and cannon and some amazing maneuverability. It was great. Like, that felt like a really fun, really well-directed sequence. And that's when Solari gets the tingles again. Just like she did before the bombs went off back at that abandoned base and the EX shows up, she feels it. She feels the danger. She demands everyone gets out of the tank, and a single beam rifle shot not only tears through the upper half of Zaku Tank-kun, but just burns everything behind it in a swath that she can't help but stare at. And then the violins start when it shows up in frame on the horizon. So the goddamn slasher villain just showed up. And he did. He's here to slash them all. Oh god, that music, I'm going to remember that for a while. That's great. It's a perfect sting. It's scary-ass composition. I loved that appearance. And the strings just keep going harder as she looks farther back and just see how far that beam shot burned into the landscape. Realizing nothing can stop that goddamn thing. Until the heroic music starts and our boys Goofy Custom come down. The Goofy boys here to make noise. Bullets slam through the side of the Gundam. Heroic music swells. And a pair of Goof Customs drop down to join the fight to give the Zeon convoy time to escape. Now, I've never been a big fan of Goof Custom because I think that 8th MS fight is overrated as hell. It's a good fight. Norse is cool, but it's not the best fight ever, and I'm sick of hearing that for the last couple decades. But these guys look good. The models look good in motion. The fight choreography is more than okay. I was a little leery about how lumbering they were and how they weren't really putting in a lot of fast kinetic motion towards the Gundam. They weren't trying to rush it down. They weren't trying to fire at range. They're just kind of standing there staring at each other. But once the melee actually started and the Gundam did that 6-spin move to get into the back of the Goof, ugh. But the Goofs are defeated. The convoy managed to get away, but if this is how the season's going to be laid out, that, like, they're trying to escape from this terrifying overwhelming force the whole time, and that's how they want to portray the Gundam EX, let's go. This episode had suspense, it had good action, that's a pretty good direction, and I'm learning to ignore the lip flap issues to really enjoy this show. I'm diving straight into 3 to see what's going on here.